Thank you guys for the patience with waiting. Had to figure out what to do with my hair because, well, I tried to set it up so you guys can see there's a little fan going right there. Oh my gosh, Beta looks so cute. There's a little fan going. Hopefully you guys can't hear it. Hopefully not. But I tried to the wonders of having the video card I do somehow allow me to noise cancel stuff. So you guys hopefully shouldn't hear that at all. It should just be my voice. This is a solution for my hair not flying in my face in the meantime anyways because it is so hot here right now. It's going to be really really hot. It's going to be in the hundreds for I think on Monday it's going to be in like the high 90s tomorrow and then it's going to be in the hundreds for like the early part of the week. Unfortunately, my filming camera doesn't have the same noise canceling technology as this does, so I don't know if I'm gonna do something podcasty, if I'm gonna just like have to delay things for a couple days for videos because like if I don't have fans going, I will literally get heat stroke. So I'm gonna try and not get heat stroke. I'm just gonna like if I have to delay things because it's literally extreme weather conditions. Because where I live, so I live like pretty far north, and none of the houses here have AC. My room I'm in now, none of the places in my apartment have overhead fans. So this is like my only source of relief currently is this little fan on my nightstand. So gonna be a fun one, gonna be hot. So I'm just trying not to melt and get hair in my face from a fan. So I feel like this looks very like Edwardian. It looks very like, what's the? There's a term. There's a term like a like Gibson girl kind of e. Do we look like a historical fashion YouTube channel now? Literally just plot my hair on top of my head. Not that fancy. I actually like this more than doing a bun, cause it's uh less intense on the hair. But thanks everyone. I know I just rambled for a bit. So yeah, I may have to convert the Bandit camera money into buying a air cooler money because I don't want us both. It's like hard. I gave Bandit actually. I trimmed her fur myself earlier today. If she feels like coming over here, I'll show you guys. But I had to trim. I've trimmed Bandit's like paw pads before, so it's just like her feet are a little bit less messy. But I have never actually like given her a full trim. I'm not saying I did a great job. The scissors that I got, I'm left-handed by the way. So the scissors I got apparently they didn't say this. They're very like right hand like dominant. Like you can kind of use them with your left hand, but they don't really work that well. So I had to like try and trim her while like using my right hand, and it turned out pretty well. And her hair's a little bit shorter, so hopefully that'll be better for her in the next couple days. Just keeping her a little bit more cool with the hot weather happening. Anyway, that's the dog update. That's the dog. Let's see. Let me pop out the chair. How have you guys been doing? I'm assuming y'all don't necessarily have to deal with 100+ degree weather. Hopefully it's going a little bit better. I'm not saying that like things are bad right now or anything. I'm just saying it's different. It's different. Yes, hello everyone. Thank you so much, Kayla and Tara and Cheese Boy and ABSP and Massa Mouse and Philip and World of Dawn and everybody that was waiting for the live stream. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I guess with all that rambling being said, welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're doing well. Basically, as it says in the title, Q&A live stream. This is what we do every Friday or most Fridays. I didn't stream last Friday because I was teaching at a conference. So pretty good reason to not stream, I think. So every Friday, 6 p.m., we usually do some kind of interactive Q&A. Main things to know, 18 plus only. If you are not at least 18, please do not be here. That is for your safety, my safety, everyone's safety involved. Just because we don't really want to mix minors and king and adults together all at the same time, usually not a good idea. So keep that in mind. Come back when you are 18. We'll be happy to have you. And I just have some general rules and guidelines and things to know. Down below, we do have an FAQ because we do get some variations on the same questions throughout the course of doing live streams. So check that out if you have not before, if you're new here. I have the text for like some of the most common ones actually just fully out there in the description if you want to make sure to read those. Also, just key things. We don't give medical advice here. We don't give mental health advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I am not a psychiatrist. I cannot help you with your medication management, suicide, self-harm, etc. If you are having troubles with that actively, please go to a professional. If you ask me about it, I will tell you to go to a professional. And that is just to make sure we are not spreading any outdated or incorrect information that could be doing more harm than good. So those are the big things to know. With that being said, just a Q&A, you can ask BDSM questions, poly questions, LGBT questions, asexuality questions, life questions, anime questions, whatever kind of questions you want. We're here to chat and answer, and definitely also, if you are in the chat and you see a question and you want to give advice about it or give your perspective, feel free. Some people definitely have like experiences and ideas and things that I don't have. So this is like asking me, but also like asking the audience kind of at the same time, which is fun. I'm doing pretty good. Not really sure how my makeup turned out. I kind of went with like the pink and stuff in this shirt, but then my eyes turned out like a cooler brown. I just kind of did my default. I was kind of hurrying on the makeup, but I like the way my lips look. I don't normally do just like a lip gloss look. I don't normally just do my plain lips. Normally big liquid lipstick girl. This is, I think it's I got this at Sephora. It's the Dior Addict like lip plumper like thing, and I just wanted a really good non super sticky lip gloss, and I think this one's doing a pretty good job. It's the rosewood color. It's like my natural lip color basically. So I'm really excited. Sorry, I'm gonna talk about makeup for a second. I'm really excited about the Fenty Beauty, the new lip plumper that they're putting out. That's got like ginger and like cinnamon and stuff in it. One, because I feel like that might have cool applications for like a very like femme, like as in FEMME, like a very femme like dom like sensation play kind of thing, because it's got like ginger and chili in it. I feel like there could be vibes with that, but also I just am excited for the product. I think that Fenty will do a good job with that. I think it literally came out yesterday. I have not ordered it yet. I wanted to wait and see a couple of reviews first before I put an order in for it, but I'm excited to try that. That is like my current. Is there any other makeup that I should know about that's being released soon that like looks really cool or good? That's really the only thing that's caught my eye recently, or I've been like, ooh, I want that, because I'm really happy with like my eyeshadow like collection, which is the main thing that I usually go for. Like I feel like I have the one thing I wish I had more of, I think, is I wish I had like more like pinky, like darker neutrals. And I think Tarte just put out another like a Tartlet palette that I think is supposed to be more like kind of that like rosy neutral kind of shades, but I haven't gotten that yet. I have like one of the big Venus palettes though, so I should probably dip into that again and check it out. Anyways, oh, I got my nails done. I got my nails done. I forgot that. I was my COVID adventure. my my vaccinated post COVID adventure was I went to the nail salon I used to go to like, a year plus ago, and I was like, let me give them some business. It's been a long time. And I went there and I got a manicure, and it took forever. It took a really long time. But for some reason, whenever I get them done at the salon, I seem like they usually last a little bit longer. I'm not a fan of this color though. It's like to my skin tone. I wanted it to be a little bit pink. I wanted it to be like a natural color though. I didn't want to go. I've had really bad experiences with dark colors like staining my nails. Not at the salon necessarily, but like when I do them. Like if I'd done like yellow or orange or like even like purple sometimes, I've stained my nail beds and then they're just gross. So I was like, let's try something that I can do any makeup look with, that I'm not locking myself in to do a particular shade of makeup with for the next couple weeks or however long I keep this on for. Anyways, makeup time over. Question time begin. Oh my gosh, thank you, Kayla. I've been in the DS or BDSM lifestyle for almost 5 years now, and not one person I have met is as educated on this type of stuff as Evie Lupine. Thank you. I'm just a big old geek. I am a geek for BDSM. I like reading, I like studying, I watch videos, I read articles, I read books, I go to classes, I teach, you do all that fun stuff. Cause I'm just a big old nerd. Like if you guys ever watched the show like Actually before, if you've heard of that, it's this show that's mostly about like nerd culture things where the host will make a statement about Star Wars or whatever, and something is false about the statement, and then the participants have to go actually, and then correct whatever the false thing is in the statement and figure out what it is. It's pretty good. I've watched a couple episodes of it. If there was like a BDSM actually episode, I would love to see it. It would be great. I don't think I have the technology to set something like that up for like me to do it as like me hosting it, but it's somebody take that idea and run with it, please. I am in living color. I could do black and white. I feel like black and white would be a cool vibe. I have a water bottle here. It's got a little bit of ice in it. So I don't think if you guys can't hear the fan, you guys probably can't hear the ice. I don't think this makeup's gonna melt off my face. It's pretty cool in here. The only thing, I'm wearing a very, very, very light, like, skin tint right now. So if it melts, it shouldn't be too obvious. I don't own any waterproof makeup, though. So, no, I could wear makeup to the pool, I guess, or to the beach, but I just, like, don't think about it. It's gonna be 114 on Sunday in Portland. That should be illegal. It should be illegal for the temperature to be over 100 degrees in Portland. Mm. Are you into braids? I've been wearing a milkmaid slash crown braid sort of thing where you braid a long ribbon in with the hair, then tie both braids around your head, which looks great and keeps you cool. Plus the braids plus long ribbon are great for pulling if you're into that. Um, I so I never learned how to braid hair when I was a kid. I just missed that skill. I don't know why. Well, it's funny when I was little, like when I was in like I think basically from when I was born until like fifth grade, so most of elementary school, I had long hair. When I was in kindergarten, I had long hair. I had like waist length hair, and then in first grade, I cut it off, and it was a lot shorter for a while. But it was mostly like like shoulder length or longer. And then in middle school, I cut my hair short, and I kept my hair short for until I graduated college, like at least, like it was short for a really long time. So because my hair was so short in those years where you like learn how to style your hair and use heat tools and all of that, I just didn't do that at all. So I've only recently figured out how to do a braid, just one braid in the back of my head. Not sure how good of a job I do of it, but so is it like two separate braids that you like twist? Like, is it that? Is that what you're talking about? Because like I've always thought that looks cool. I was kind of thinking about trying that tonight, but I don't have a ribbon though. I don't have ribbon. I don't think I can execute on that. I could clip them together with a little alligator clip like this. That would be styling. No one's gonna see me in this, so it's not like I've got anything to worry about. Oh, jeez. Most of the questions involve BDSM or DS. Sometimes we just have fun and we hang out because, like, I talk about BDSM all the time, and sometimes it's like, hey, what's going on? How's life? What are you doing? And we talk about the what are you doing part of it. How did the conference go? I think it went really well. I had to give a speech, like I had to give an opening ceremony speech, and I've never given a like speech or like opening remarks for anything before, so I was a little nervous about it, but I think it went really well. I got good feedback from it. I think my class went pretty well. I was confused about how much time I had for the class because they had altered kind of the schedule timeline like pretty close to the event. So it used to be that there was like no break between classes, and then they shifted it so there was like a 10-minute break between, and so I thought I had less time than I did. So I rushed it a little bit at the end because I was afraid I wasn't going to get through everything, so we ended up having more time for questions and stuff, which was fine. But yeah, I think it went really well. Virtual conferences definitely have their pluses and minuses, but very happy with how everything went. It was a little bit stressful, but that's how it is when you're gonna say something important in front of people, I think. Hmm. Um, with that said, thanks a lot for making these videos about asexuality. I'm learning a lot about the ace spectrum this Pride. That's awesome. Glad to hear it, Alex. I have 2 more videos about asexuality that are coming out. I posted the video that came out earlier this week. It was supposed to be second when I filmed it, and then I decided to post it first because I felt like it was more important. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this one first, and the second one will be second. I may have something that I'm gonna put up first before those next asexuality videos because it's a little bit more like topical and current, and I kind of want to get it out there before things start to disappear and go away, and then just is less relevant, I suppose. So I may reorder some things more. I finished editing the second part earlier tonight, so then I gotta go back and re-edit the first part because sometimes I end up editing things first and like out of order. It's like when you film a movie and like usually you don't film every scene in sequential order. Like you don't go like act 1 scene 1. You it depends. Oh, thank you so much, Willow. Thank you. A little puppy popped up on screen and then I was very happy. Thank you so much. Bandit appreciates it. She's currently sitting directly in front of the fan. So she's loving life. I must know if you've watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I know of it. I like recognize the art style. Like if there's a reference to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in terms of art style, I usually recognize that. But I haven't actually watched it before, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I don't know. I don't really have, I don't have an opinion about it. Okay, interesting question from Taylor. I'm recently married and I'd like to introduce BDSM into our life. Congratulations on getting married. I know marriage during COVID has been very difficult to arrange. In the past, when I bring up anything lighthearted, he kind of laughs me off. What would you suggest? That's hard because, typically I would recommend that you start with those lighthearted things because they are less intimidating, they're a little bit easier to do, they're less risky if you're playing with somebody that's never done anything BDSM related before. But like the fact he laughs you off is like kind of concerning. I feel like if it was me, I'd be like, "Dear husband, do not laugh at me. This is a serious request. I'm quite dismayed at the fact you are laughing at me." I don't know. That would probably just make it sillier. But I think see, I don't know exactly how you're saying it, and it could be like, does he think it is like is a joke? Is he thinking like, is it funny that you're like, haha, you want to be spanked? That's so silly. Nobody really wants that. Like, I'm trying to figure out what his like read on it is. Like why would he like laugh it off? I wonder almost if he's like deflecting. Like, is like, does something about it make him nervous, and so, like, his reaction is to laugh it off and not have to, like, talk about it at, like, a deeper level? Oh, that could be part of it, I guess. It's just a guess. Like, maybe he's laughing it off because it makes him uncomfortable in some way, and he doesn't wanna talk about it. But if it's I think first is, like, establishing clearly that you are being serious yourself and like this needs to be treated like a serious conversation, not like a life or death conversation, not a we're gonna get divorced conversation, but like a hey, I would really love to do stuff like this with you. And I know when I've mentioned it in the past, your reaction has made me feel and like focus on like how those reactions make you feel, like help him understand like what you're going through. So you would say, hey, it kind of hurt my feelings when you would laugh it off when I brought up this stuff, and I understand that maybe you thought I was joking or maybe you weren't sure how to react to it, but I want to let you know that I am serious about wanting to try this and I want to be able to have a serious conversation about it. And then you can get more into the details of it, and hopefully as your spouse, as your husband, he will be willing to get into that conversation, and maybe he has some kind of baggage around it, maybe he doesn't know anything about it, maybe he's nervous about what it means for your relationship. Like, Also make sure you leave space for him. Like if there is something there that's like more than him just thinking you're not serious, like make sure that he also has like that space to bring that up if he's worried about like, oh, my wife suddenly wants this big thing that I'm not really sure about that makes me kind of uncomfortable and I don't know how to handle it, so I laugh it off. Right, you want to make sure that he can have room to say stuff like that. So like definitely establish up front that you're being serious. One, two, make sure your spouse has room to kind of, if they do have something in it that makes them uncomfortable or that they're unsure about, they can share that. And then three, I don't know. I have this idea of like demonstrate that you're serious about it. Like don't just like say. I would almost like my next piece of advice I usually give and kind of this like talk about it and then kind of do something deeper with it is like you could read like do something together. Like you could read a book together about BDSM. You could watch a movie that has BDSM in it, like maybe like Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman. That would probably be. See, a lot of the good BDSM films are like lesbian films, and so like maybe your husband doesn't want to watch a lesbian movie, although it is Pride Month, so hey, let's do it anyways. So Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman would be like maybe the movie I recommend that has some kind of BDSM y things in it. Although that one does also have poly stuff in it, so maybe he would get the idea that you're also trying to open up your relationship if you're mono, and like, maybe you won't make it clear this isn't for the poly stuff or that I'm secretly bi or whatever. It's just like it's the BDSM part I wanted to show you. But like having some kind of like shared activity and exploration that centers around BDSM can be a really good way to approach it as like being a team and like wanting to do this together like for your relationship as opposed to you like giving him a bunch of stuff to read and research and figure out on his own and making it seem kind of more, though I'm sure you don't intend it this way, from his perspective it might seem more like you are pushing something on him and now it's his responsibility to figure it out, as again opposed to having it be a team thing, a together thing. So that's my advice. If there is further clarification or something that I got wrong or anything else, other information I would need to have to give a good answer, please let me know, Taylor, but hopefully that one helped. Yeah, definitely. If you have a question, Kayla, feel free to ask. Whenever, you don't gotta ask my permission, just put it in the chat and I read things in order. So if you ask it later, I will get to it later. But I try to do everything as quickly as I can. Oh gosh. Okay, where'd my chat go? There we go. There we go. Any fun new anime recommendations from what you're watching lately? Well, I can't remember what the English title for it is. There was something here. I'm gonna look it up. There was a kind of a short one I watched on Netflix that was pretty fun. Something like I want to say it was Way of the House Husband, but let me double check on that before I just throw that out. Way of the House Husband. That is what it is. It's called The Way of the blah, blah, blah. Way of the House Husband. It's on Netflix. It's a short little series. It's funny. It's cute. I like it. Demon Slayer is really good. The completely opposite direction. That the first one is very like slice of life, funny, short episodes kind of thing. Demon Slayer is very intense. I finally got to watch the movie. It was really, really good. So if you haven't seen that yet, if you like kind of that like shonen anime, good fight sequences, but with like it has like heart to it, it has character to it. The main like male protagonist is not like your typical like shonen anime protagonist. If you're kind of, just sick of that, this is an alternative for sure, but I really liked it. I thought it was really good and I am excited to see more. Would you consider doing another review of latex if you had something bespoke made for you? I would. I would definitely. Actually, I recently kind of downsized my latex collection. I went through the stuff that I had and I really kept the stuff that I liked and that fit me well. And eventually, when I can figure out a place to sell it, I'm gonna be selling some of my latex that I don't really wear or don't use. And yeah, because I don't really have a lot of space in this house to store stuff. And so, like, I had to be very concise. There's a word for it. Be very circumspect, maybe? Very, very just careful about the things that I chose to stay with me that aren't just like in boxes in my living room. So, yeah, got a little bit of a closet clean out there on that one. Yay! Okay, welcome, Layla. Is that how you pronounce it, Layla? Welcome to the live stream. Definitely don't worry about being late. I usually start late because I always fuck up something and have to change it. Like, oh no, I forgot to get water. Oh no, I can't find the cord from my microphone. Something always ends up happening that takes me a couple minutes longer than I expect it to. Okay, we got the question here from Kayla. Looks like we got two parts here. Okay, let me see. I think that's everything. How do you know when someone is actually dominant? I've had several people tell me and my husband they're dominant and or a dungeon master for 30 plus years. It's a very specific thing. But I've also had someone tell me that they have been dominant for like 10 years, but they don't act very dominant. Like I just wanted to know like how you can tell if they're actually dominant. All right, I'm on my soapbox now. I'm crouching like I'm in Death Note over here right now. So there are certain people on the internet and on YouTube that will try to give you a list of traits or physical attributes or way of being that means someone is dominant or not, right? I've made joke videos about this. If you've searched my channel for I don't remember what I called them, something like signs of like guaranteed signs of like an alpha dominant or whatever, something like that. And I try to go through the video and like make everything progressively more silly, but a lot of people think, oh, well, like if he's really tall, if he's very like muscular, broad shoulders, if he has a deep voice, if he has like really intimidating eye contact, like that's kind of what makes somebody dominant. And this is the key. This is the key. This is everyone. I want everyone, Kayla, everyone to listen. Having a physically domineering presence is not the same thing as being a dominant. Just in the same way that as a submissive, there can be people that have a very demure and like meek physical presentation that are not necessarily submissive, and not all submissives are very demure and meek and oh I'm so small, as I think Elena Williams would say would be the trembling vision of submission or something. And there are certainly some correlations. There is some connection between people that have a more dominant physical presence, have a more domineering physical presence, and are dominant. That can certainly be the stereotype. That can be true for some people. But in my experience in the BDSM community, you get dominance that are across like the wide range of behaviors. And I think what is important to point out here is like this idea of like somebody being dominant it's very heterosexual, it's very masculine, it's very limiting also in the idea of the types of people that are like allowed to be dominant. And so I think it's important to remember that like any kind of person can be dominant. You can be like a 5'2" Asian woman, you can be a trans man, you can be a burly ex-football player, like you can be whatever kind of person you want to be and be dominant. There are, correlations generally, certain people may steer more likely to be one or the other, but at the end of the day, anyone can be any kind of thing, right? You can have the ex-football player and they can be like the most bottomiest to slave bottom that ever existed. And just because they have a very physically dominant presence, when you perceive them from across the room doesn't necessarily mean that they like are dominant. So, the long answer to this question is you like I don't know if you're implying that like people are lying about being dungeon masters and dominance, but they don't act very dominant, and so how can that be true? Um, just because you're dominant doesn't mean you dom everyone around you as well. And and I actually think it would be like a consent violation to be like actively dominant of people that you are not in a negotiated relationship or in a scene with. So, uh if they're not meeting your stereotype for being a dom, that's fine. They don't have to do that, and I think they would know best for themselves, like if they're a dom or not, if they've been doing this for 10 plus Yours are not, because I get a lot of questions from people that are like, "Oh, I'm kind of like shy and introverted. Can I still be a dom? Oh, I'm kind of quiet. Can I still be a dom? I'm like a short guy. Can I still be a dom?" And it's like, yes, like, of course, like, if you are driven to that, if you take time to learn the skills for it, if you do all the stuff that actually makes a dom, as opposed to just having the good sense to be born in the body of somebody that seems physically dominant, like, you can still be a dom no matter what you look like or how you present. And just because somebody doesn't seem dominant to you in a physical way doesn't mean they're not dominant to their partners or whatever. Because dominance also looks a lot of different ways as well, right? Like, you can have dominance that are very like physical in their approach, dominance that are very like mental and emotional, dominance that are more surface oriented, dominance that are more pet play focused, dominance that are more rope focused. Like, there's so many different skills within BDSM that you can focus on that don't necessarily require that physicality. And I guess also as well, like, as a submissive, you're not going to be attracted to every dom. And so if you're basing judgment off somebody's dominant or not based on your attraction to them as a dom, that's like not a good judge, because different things are appealing to different people. So, how can you tell if somebody's actually dominant? The real fucking answer, the actual fucking answer, is that the only way you can tell if they're actually dominant or not is if they tell you to your face if they're a dom or not. Like, if you ask them, "Oh, are you a dom?" and they say, "Yes, I am." There is a smaller portion of that that's also like, and then do they act like a dom, like, when they do scenes, right? Because there is difference between like a top and a dominant, right? So you have somebody that's a top, but isn't necessarily a dom because they don't do power exchange. So there could be a little bit of a difference there. But generally, people know themselves the best. They know their scenes. They know the labels they use with partners. End of rant. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that was helpful. And people do inflate their experience sometimes. People will say, "Oh, I've been doing this for 20 years, 10 years, whatever." And then what they mean is they've been like jerking it to BDSM porn since they were like a teenager, but then they didn't start doing it until they met their second wife in their mid-30s or whatever. Like, what counts as experience? There could be like, the answer to that question beyond just like, "I've been doing this for 10 years," can be more complicated. But I don't think most people just like straight out lie about being a dom or not. Like, it seems like if they're in the community, it's okay. What important point. It would be really weird to meet somebody at a play party that's in the like 40s and 50s and is a DM and like would be lying about being a dom. Like, that's like a very unusual situation for that to not be true into some degree. However, if you're like conversing with a random internet person you've never met before and they say, "Oh, baby, I've got 20 years of BDSM dom experience," like, that could definitely be a question about how true that actually is or not. But in real life, like in a dungeon setting where that's already such like an intense level of pre-selection to even be in that group, that you are a very dedicated liar at that point, or just somehow have never actually had to learn what those terms mean. Okay, gonna stop on that point for now. We're gonna move on to another question, because I've been rambling. I gotta cut myself off, and then if we need to revisit this, if we have some good comments and thoughts here, we will read those as they come along. But I don't want to take up too much time with just me rambling about about that, because I could, and I have before. That's why I made those are some of my favorite videos. The how to find like guaranteed ways to spot an alpha male dom or whatever. Those are my favorite videos because I don't really make like joke humor comedy videos at all. I got so many people with those. Oh, it was so good. Nobody was expecting it, so it was perfect. But good question though, Kayla. It's a very common one. I'm not saying your question's bad or anything. I should clarify. Your question's not, and hopefully I didn't even imply this, but like, your question is not stupid. You're not stupid for asking it. I don't think you're a bad person for asking anything like that. I just think it is a very common misconception that people kind of expect that they can tell those things in a way. Like, I met a guy earlier this week, and we talked for like 4 or 5 hours, and at the end of it, he told me that he was like a mind control, like, hypnosis top, and I never would have guessed that. Like, talking to him, like, that was totally not the read I got on him at all. But I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like, that'd be sure, why not? So I, just to show We still have assumptions we make. We still have ideas we might have, and not everybody fits those ideas and assumptions. Lotus asked, what are your thoughts about love languages? Like, are more touch-oriented, sensory-oriented, does intelligence turn you on, that sort of thing? So, love languages are not the same thing as types of attraction. So, I want to make a video, maybe I will make that, like, more of a priority for, like, a video soon, because it kind of ties into the attraction conversation. Love languages are not the same thing as, like, attraction. So I literally just made a video about talking about what attraction is, and that's like the spark of the moment of like having interest in somebody, and that can be sensation oriented, that can be like, we're gonna touch on that in a second. I have opinions about that, but it can be sexually oriented, romantically oriented, sense oriented. It can be all those things. What a love language is either how you want to receive or how you express affection, love, adoration, so on for a partner. Two different things. That would be things like, and there, if you Google the 5 love languages, this will pop up. Be forewarned, it is written by a quite religious person, and in particular, their subsequent books have a lot more overt religious things in them. But regardless, if you don't believe in God or Jesus or whatever, it's fine. You can still get something out of this. But it would be things like acts of service, quality time, gift giving, words of affirmation, physical touch. Like, those are love languages. Those are how you prefer to either give or receive affection, reassurance, whatever from your partner. So my thoughts about it is it's a great like tool for like understanding your partner better and knowing how to interact with them, because some people are very, very oriented towards some things and not at all other things. So like, if you were interacting with somebody where their number one love language is physical touch and they don't care about gifts at all, but the only thing you do is buy them nice gifts and you're not very physically affectionate, you don't hold hands, you don't like kiss them on the cheek regularly, those sorts of things, they're going to feel very like emotionally neglected in the relationship because the gifts don't mean anything to them and they're missing out on the thing that is most important to them. And so because they understand your affection through those receiving those particular love languages or not, that's going to affect your relationship. So I would recommend that like couples figure out what each other's love languages are. It's super simple. There's all kinds of quizzes for it online. One little key though that you can figure out, like if you're not like deep enough into a relationship to have had that conversation yet, is you can also see what they do for you, because people tend to give the love language that they want to receive. So if you are getting like, if you've been dating somebody for a little while and they, let's say for example, they like, bring you flowers, on your like third or fourth date, right? Okay, they like giving gifts. Maybe that also means they like getting gifts themselves, and that's kind of their sort of displaying the thing that they want to get. So checking out kind of where they're at is really important. Oh, we have another one here. Okay. As someone who's working at rope work, I like to hear experiences on when you worked with inexperienced DOMs, and if you have any tips for making it more enjoyable for both parties. Okay, that is a great question. I have to think about that one for a little bit. Just give me a second, and then I will give you an answer on that one. So yeah, love languages are really important. Apology languages also very important. I think it's really good to know where your partner is at on those, but don't get them confused with attraction. That's the answer. Okay, so I have never done a suspension, like that kind of thing, with an inexperienced rope top before. I've never been anybody's like first suspension or anything like that. I have done some. It's been a very long time. It's been a very long time since I've done rope related things with somebody else that is also not very experienced. I would say the first person that I did kind of rope work stuff with, it was like it was somebody I met on FetLife. We played around for a little bit. We did some very, very basic stuff. But that was like when I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I'd been doing BDSM for like 2 months at that point. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to past me. I didn't know what I was doing. More experienced me, like 2 years into like doing BDSM, I did do some practice stuff a couple times with like somebody at what would be called like a rope jam or a skill share or something like that, where and actually I have videos coming out either this week or next week. I don't know what order I'm going to put things in. I have 2 videos talking about rope bondage skills and safety and how to be a better rope bottom and all that good stuff. So rope focused content coming to your inbox soon. But I would say in terms of any tips for making it more enjoyable for both parties, I'm going to assume that like you are asking as the inexperienced dom and not as the more experienced bottom working with an experienced dom. I would remember it's like I would remember that the fanciest things are not necessarily the most pleasurable. Most bottoms don't give a shit if you can do a 3-rope TK if the energy isn't there. Like the complicated stuff, if you're doing suspension or whatever, is usually it's often like it's more about like the physics of it, the functionality, distributing pressure appropriately, all of that stuff. You don't have to be very experienced at actually tying knots to have a good scene. So if you were trying to make it more enjoyable for both parties, literally the only things, there's 3 things, 3 hot tips that you need to know in order to be a good rope top. Maybe I should make a video about this. There are 3 skills you need to know. Single column tie, double column tie, how to cut somebody out of rope. Those are the 3 things you need to know. Other than the very basic other safety negotiation, blah, 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 the basic BDSM stuff. If you can do those things, you can make a fun rope scene happen. Very, very basic stuff. Because it's about how you have to think about, if you've ever done dance or anything like that, you have to think about the rope as like an extension of your hand. You have to think about the rope as the extension of you and your physical communication with your partner. And so if you're doing like a more like sensual, emotional scene, you're going to handle the rope one way. You're going to position your partner one way. You're going to have different kinds of physicality to it. If you're going for a more like aggressive, domineering, takedown and capture scene, note though, if you're new at rope, I wouldn't recommend doing a lot of struggle play with rope because it is very easy to twist something, mess up an ankle, bend a finger backwards, something that's going to be uncomfortable and bad. So like don't add in the struggle stuff too soon. But if you want to do something that's like more like aggressive, more in your face, more like primally, you can totally do that with rope as well, having very, very little skill set. There's actually a technique called Ichinama, which is when you use one rope to bind somebody, and you can literally do that, right? You don't even have to tie knots. Actually, you don't even have to tie knots. You can literally just have rope. You can do like literally a lark's head around their ankle or whatever, and then just like fuck around with one rope on their body and just enjoy the experience of the sensation of the rope and having that like emotional physical communication. And honestly, scenes where those things happen are like more rewarding than being able to do a fucking 3-rope TK suspension, because when I'm doing scenes on the ground that are really emotional, I am not having to fucking worry about if I'm about to give myself permanent wrist drop. So that's a bonus. That's the bonus. It's you get to have that level of like sinking into the intimacy, which doesn't always happen, and especially a very like complicated and technical suspension. So if you can focus on learning those very, very basic core skills that are physical, and this is true for like every type of BDSM. This is true if you're flogging, you're spanking, you're doing fucking age play, whatever. People focus on like the physical aspects of it and like, can I throw a flogger? Do I know how to use a cane? There is a reason why I do generally not have things on my channel about how to do the BDSM thing. I do have 101 videos, obviously, that explain here's what it is, here's how people do it, here's how you negotiate for it, here's what these scenes look like. I do have those videos, but I don't have technical skill classes on my channel because I think those things are already really accessible for most people that want that, number one. 2, it would probably be banned from YouTube because YouTube hates BDSM, except when you don't actually physically show it. And 3, most people think that doing BDSM is about having technical proficiency in a certain skill. It is 20% that. It is 80% establishing an ongoing, mutually enjoyable connection with your partner. That could be fear-based, it could be love-based, it could be happiness-based, it could be hedonistic, it could be sexual, it could be whatever the fuck you want it to be. But having that emotional connection with your partner is how you get to the really ooey gooey stuff, especially in things like rope. Like if you've ever fucking gone on FetLife and you've gone to somebody's rope profile, I realize I've completely turned around in my chair. Sorry. If you go to somebody's profile on FetLife, like, and they're really into rope bondage, tell me if you've heard this one before. I like connective rope. The reason I like connective rope is because the emotional part of it is just as, if not more important than your ability to do complicated shit. So there you go. That's the answer. I don't know why I was so long-winded about that, but and I know that it's vague. I want to acknowledge. So I want to acknowledge this is like a vague concept. Saying just like the emotional connection and rope. Like if you're a more logically minded person, you're like, the what? You what? How do I use this? How do I use this rope to make somebody feel feelings? What is that? What do you mean, Evie? How can I do that? And this is where going to in-person classes and going to things like Skillshares and rope jams is really important. Because I really think the only way that you can kind of understand this outside of the abstract is when you see other people do it. Like when you see somebody have like an emotionally connected rope experience or like a really like mentally intense rope experience, like you can see that shit on their faces. Like you can tell. And then you're like, oh, I get it now. And that's the kind of feeling you're going for. Obviously, as in all things, communication with your partner is going to be the most important above everything else. So if you're like, how do I make this better for both parties? Ask your partners what they want. What do you want to get out of the experience? What are your favorite things? What are your least favorite things? What is a type of scene that you imagine happening? What fantasies do you have about this thing? Ask your partners questions. Use the answers to those questions to formulate how you're going to approach a scene or practice or whatever the heck else. And you and everyone else involved is going to have a much better time. There you go. There you go. Okay, I am off my soapbox again. Please give me a round of applause for that Oscar-worthy performance. Great question though. I love it. That was perfect. Thank you so much, Troy. I hope it helped. That was a great question. Oh no, no, go back. I lost my questions. Where was I? Okay, here we go. Oh, good question. World of Dawn. Have you ever let a dom down or broke a rule? If so, how do you deal with the shame and feelings that go with it? Is this an appropriate question? Well, I'm answering it, so by default, it must be. My dom and I don't do punishment. That's fine. You don't have to do punishment. That's like, I think, if I have a controversial BDSM opinion, it's that, like, you don't need to do punishment to have a DS relationship. Because I've talked about this in videos before, so I'm not gonna, like, belabor this point too much, but I know that not everyone watches literally every video I make. So, why are my legs itchy? Did I get bitten by a mosquito? Disgusting. I hate it. Gross. Oh, and by the way, there's no screens on any of the windows in my apartment, so I can't even, like, open the windows without letting every bug in on the planet, so that's fun. What was I talking about? Oh, letting your dom down and punishment. So my controversial BDSM opinion would probably be that I don't think you need punishment to have a DS relationship. I know a lot of people are like, what the heck? How does that work? If your submissive partner is sufficiently internally motivated and all you have to do is like give them a short verbal reminder of like, hey, you broke a rule. Here's what you did wrong. Do better next time. Like, you don't always need to physically punish them or emotionally punish them or mentally punish them or whatever. And I think that's important to keep in mind because for a lot of people that have certain trauma backgrounds, have abusive childhoods, have had previously abusive DS relationships that involved a lot of punishment, like, you might not be mentally, emotionally, whatever prepared to do those things or to want to have punishment, even though you want to have a DS relationship. So I think it's important to keep in mind we gotta make room for diverse approaches to DS. Not everybody has a DS that looks the same way as everybody else's. In terms of how do you deal with the shame and feelings that go with it, one of the if you are doing punishment, the way that you would do this is by getting the reassurance from your dom or your partner after the punishment is over that everything has been absolved and is okay. I think the number one mistake that people get when they do punishment is they think the punishment ends when the physical part of it is over, right? Okay, the spanking is over, now the punishment is done. As the dom, you think, okay, well, I'm done spanking them now, so they must be fine. The mental aspect of it is almost always more important than the physical. Connecting back to our last question. You can get through a spanking. You can get through a really, really intense caning, but mentally, you might not be prepared to forgive yourself, or you might not believe your partner has truly forgiven you. And if you grew up in certain family contexts where things were held over your head, if you had partners that held things over your head for long after arguments were over, long after disagreements had happened, you're going to think, okay, well, you know, this thing is over, but this is obviously going to come back later, right? This isn't really done. And you have to let things be done. And the way that you do that is you sit down and you remind your partner, my beautiful submissive, you did such a wonderful job sitting through that punishment. I know that was really, really difficult. Remember that everything is over and done and I have forgiven you. And you have to have aftercare for punishments. Aftercare for punishments can look like a million and one different things. What I mean by that could literally just be what I just told you guys. It could literally be 2 days later, a week later, checking in and being like, hello, my beautiful submissive. I wanted to let you know, just remind you, you are still forgiven for the bad thing that you did. Are you feeling okay? Could literally be just as simple as that. Just a simple verbal reminder to get it in our thick fucking skulls as submissives that things are actually okay. Because if any other submissives listening to this are anything like me, anything like most of the submissives I know, it can be very difficult to not continue to beat yourself up after your partner already has, essentially. And letting go of that, letting go of allowing yourself to be your own judge, jury, and executioner is, I think, one of the key aspects of doing DS. And it's very difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. I have talked about this before in videos. I have one, and now I can't remember what it's called, that came out like a month or two ago where I talked about this. I can't remember what it's called, but I've had this before, so I'm just gonna let that answer be that answer. Let me find what the frick that video is, so I can actually like recommend that properly. I just have so many video titles I can't always remember what they're called. Oh, it's called Dealing with Failure in Relationships in the BDSM Community. If you haven't watched that video yet, sorry, World of Dawn I think asked this question. If you haven't watched that video yet, Dealing with Failure, the video is like literally answering this question in 23-minute long version. But yes, obviously I have broken rules and let people down. That's part of being human. You can't always be perfect. What would the point of having rules be if you never mess them up? Like, that's part of human experience. I have definitely messed up. It's not the end of the world. I've been doing this for long enough to where even trying my very, very best, failure is inevitable. Since you made your video about erotica/BDSM literature, did you ever read anything by Francesca Leo Block, or have you read the Angel Sanctuary series? That's very specific questions, considering the fact that video is literally less than a week old. No, I haven't read any additional random books that random people have recommended to me on the internet. I am done reading BDSM erotica for the time being, and if I read every single suggestion that everyone ever told me was a good BDSM erotica book, one, you all would be very disappointed in my opinions about those books, and two, it would be infinite, because every single time I do a video where I talk about, oh, I don't like these books, someone always recommends, oh, read this, and like half the time I've read those books and I've reviewed them before and I don't like them. Like, so I understand that people are offering suggestions for things. I am not continually reading BDSM erotica at all hours of the day. Like, when I decide I want to make a video about BDSM erotica, I take a week, I read a couple of books. Usually if it's nice weather outside, something like that, if I'm going on a trip, that's when I'll do it. But like, I'm not like, ooh, you know, I just tortured myself by reading like 4 bad BDSM erotica books. Oh, and also I have a review for Freed coming out. I'm done. I'm burnt out. I can't read any more bad BDSM erotica for the time being. And I know that you're saying those books aren't bad or whatever, but I like, people told me Charisse Sinclair was good for fucking years. Her more recent stuff is better. Her more recent stuff is better. I will give Charisse that. She's certainly writing within a certain formula. But my god, if I have to read about another curly-haired blonde girl that likes cats, I'm gonna fucking just stab myself. Because I'm a black-haired girl that likes dogs. Like, there's nothing I can physically, like... Part of the reason why I don't like Charisse Sinclair books is because I'm, like, literally the physical opposite of, like, every one of her main characters. Like, I'm not, like, a curvaceous blonde girl with curly hair that likes cats and is a veterinarian. Like, that's not me. I can't, like, put myself into that character's shoes to, like, enjoy the book because they're always talking about how, like, voluptuous her breasts are or whatever, and I'm like... It's not... Sorry, sweetie, that's not me. Don't touch my nipples. That's my opinion about that. So if I can't, like, insert myself into the character very well because I'm so opposite of them, and so, like, the physical descriptions of things going on, like, don't mesh with my body, like, then, like, I can't, like, enjoy, like, because if it's written from a first-person perspective and it's, like, this is what this person's body's like, and I'm supposed to insert myself into that, like, if you talk about bodies in the way that, like, isn't the same as mine, it's gonna be really hard to be like, oh, this is a reading experience I can relate to. Oh my god, Judy Blume! Yes. Oh my... Wow. I... Just Jimmy Neutron brain blast over... Brain blast. Literally, I want to make sure this is the thing I'm thinking of. That's the writer, right? The children's author? I remember her for her Junie B. Jones series. So if she has anything else... If she's also writing BDSM erotica, I don't know about it. I think that's... Was that her? I'm trying to... Am I... Or is it just... Oh, is it just because the name is similar? Oh, now I'm confused. Who am I thinking of? I think these are really, like, similar? What am I thinking? Okay, now I'm just like, who wrote... Who wrote that? Who wrote Judy B. Jones then? Barbara Park. Okay, alright. We're learning something about children's... We're learning something about children's stuff here today. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know why I connected those two in my head. Okay, I've totally read Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing though. I remember really liking that book. I think at one point his little brother swallows a turtle, and that's like the end conflict of the thing is like my brother swallowed my turtle because he's a dumbass. Like that's the thing. I remember that correctly. I don't know. It's kind of all a mystery to me. All right, sorry. Getting back to the regularly scheduled BDSM programming here. Oh, jeez. Okay. Oh my gosh, congrats, Spencer. Thank you, Evie. You've really helped me understand who I am and accept myself. Round of applause. I'm so happy that because of you, I've been able to tell my girlfriend what I want, and she's going to tie me up for the first time this weekend. Awesome, Spencer. That is great. Good luck to both of you. It's going to be super fun. But don't have it be too high pressure. It's okay if it's not super fun. You're just trying it out. Don't worry. Interesting. Oh, hi, Bernie. Welcome. Welcome to the live stream. Just saw your chat right now. Do you think a lot of folks are switching sides of the slash? They want to try more of coming out of lockdown. I went into quarantine leaning sub, but now have a ton of top energy. It's weird. You know, I could see that. I could see that being the case. I don't have any direct evidence for that or even like anecdotal evidence at this point, honestly. But I think that could be part of it. I think that could totally happen where people are like, hey, you know what? I've been a switch this whole time, but I've always been submissive leaning. Now, like, dom time, baby. I could see that. I think more so that would maybe happen if people were getting out of like long-term relationships where it wasn't with another switch. And so they had to like always be the dom or always be the sub, and like quarantine ended a lot of relationships or changed them. So I could see something where like you were in quarantine, you ended a relationship with your dom, you were always submissive with them, and now like your top side is coming out. Like that kind of stuff I think is going to be a little bit more common than the average was pre quarantine. Okay. I think we got a two-part question here from Ash. Okay, I see the first part. Where is this second part? Okay, there we go. I am an asexual submissive. Sex is not something I ever even want to consider in my relationship. All right, we're like 100% sex repulse. Got it. All right. Most doms I've met can't even begin to imagine having a completely non-sexual power exchange relationship. I'm getting tired of trying to explain how you could do BDSM non-sexually. It's making me wary of talking to people about how my power exchange, I'm assuming works? It says wants. I'm assuming, oh, about my power exchange. Okay, like this is your like needs, wants, must-haves, that kind of stuff. Okay. I will tell you right out of the gate, everyone that I personally physically know in the BDSM community that is also asexual is actually a male top or a male dom. Crazy, right? I know two like sex repulsed asexual men that are doms and tops, and I know one demisexual man that is a switch. So they exist, they're out there. You're not alone. So, I mean, my advice is to find the other demis and aces and be like, hey, what's up? And like, when I say they're ace, they're more ace than I am. Like they're sex repulsed. They don't ever want to do any kind of thing sexual in any of their scenes. And for them, it's really hard to find submissives that don't take, or bottoms or whatever, that don't take in a sexual energy in their play, like for them as tops and doms. Even though they're in control of the scenario, there's still kind of that like sexual energy happening in a way that they're not like big fans of. So they do exist. I understand being wary of talking to people by your power exchange. If this is like either meeting people in person or what, if you're doing like online ads and like trying to meet people online, literally first conversation be like, I do BDSM non-sexually. If you don't understand that and can't figure out how that works, don't talk to me. Like, over the years that I have been on FetLife, on dating platforms, I have just gotten more and more particular, and I'm like, hey, if you don't know what poly is, if you haven't done it before, if you don't know what BDSM is, don't at me. We're not gonna work out. Part of it is I don't want to take my work home with me. Like, I don't want to have a partner where it also kind of feels like my job. You know, that's like kind of a hard limit for me, is I don't want to sit there and be like, I just spent 3 hours filming a video about tickling torture 101, video coming soon for real seriously, and now I have to go and do BDSM, but the partner I have doesn't know what a flogger is. Like, or like I'm trying to do poly, but like one of the people I'm seeing has never done it before and their wife is like super jealous. Like, I don't have time for that. I don't want to do that. I don't have time to mess around. Like, I just say it. I'm like, this is how I am. This is what I want. This is what I don't want. If you can't live with it, don't fucking message me. And then if you figure out in the first 3 messages that like they ignore that and we're like, yeah, well, so what? Bye. Block, deleted, not respond to your messages. So if you're online, that allows you to kind of front load and self-select a lot more. If you're in person, or honestly, even if you're online, look for this too. If you can find like ace or like asexuality, like oriented events or groups or parties or something, I know that there's like asexuality groups on FetLife. I don't know of any ace groups that talk about kink, that have that as like part of like a regular discussion or group for them or something. I don't know if Aven has that. I haven't really looked on Aven for kink stuff, to be honest. But like here we have like a demi and ace much. Like, we have a group of ace people that literally meet up to be like, hey, we're kinky and we're ace. Let's talk about all of our problems and the fact finding a partner is so difficult and we're all friends, but none of us want to play together. Like, that's like how those go. It's a fun time, though. It's good stuff. But if you have something like that, take advantage of it. If you don't just want to come out there and be like, hey, I'm looking for a partner that has XYZ thing, like, you can also start a social event, post on a local board on FetLife and be like, hey, what's up, Southern New Hampshire? Any other fellow asexuals out there? And just like Just put that energy into the universe, and then other asexuals, we will find you. We find each other. We do. If the bat signal for ace people has been put out, we will find each other. So I know it's hard, and it was really, really draining. The best thing you can do is I think kind of what you're doing, which is being as direct as possible as soon as possible. And like, if you need to be really, really clear, like, I don't mind personally being really clear about like, I don't want sexual energy in my scenes. This is what that means to me. Don't press your junk against me. Don't touch my genitals. Don't touch my nipples. Like, don't say anything sexy to me. Don't talk in a sexy voice. Like, anything that you think is sexy, don't do it. Anything that could be sexy, don't do it. Like, if it's really specific like that, I think a little bit is okay. Because even amongst asexual people, like, we have slightly different definitions of like, the line between sexuality and sensuality for some people can be a little bit more blurred. And so for them, they might see something as sexual when they don't mean it in a sexual way, right? So like having a like shoulder rub for some people is going to have like foreplay sexual undertones, and for other people it's going to be just a like, hey, yeah, like we did a rope bondage scene and like this is aftercare, and like rubbing your shoulders is like my way as a top is like staying physically connected to you while you're coming down, while also helping you like your body kind of come down from the scene. So I know it's hard. I get that. It's really, really hard. I've talked about this before in videos. I've had experiences where like I tell people I don't play sexually, and then they fucking press their dick against me during scenes, and they breathe in this weird sexy way that I don't understand, and like they're like, no penetration happened, no naked bodies, no genitalia out, but like you could tell that was going in the back of the brain for later, I guess is what I'll say. Hopefully that helped. I'm super sorry, Ash. I know it's hard. Hopefully that was reassuring in some way. And more of us are coming out. More and more ace people are being like, I can be kinky. And so I really think, over the last couple years I've been in the scene, there's more and more ace visibility. And so I think it's just going to get better over time for sure. Oh my god, I think we're literally to the point in the chat where like I was talking about eyeshadow. So far behind. I've answered like 4 questions. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying not to die. I think we got like 45 minutes left. We got time. I think. What is it? Okay, time check for the chat. It is 7:19. That's what we're doing. Oh no, people are arguing about Star Trek and Star Wars. I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry. Ordering groceries. I mean, we gotta eat food. I get it. Ordering groceries. I got groceries last night in the middle of when I was streaming for Patreon. So, I had to order. Listen, I had to get popsicles. I had to get cold fruit and cold food that I keep in my fridge and freezer so I won't die. The one thing I wish I would have gotten is they do make like frozen dog treats. And I don't have any like doggy ice trays that I can make treats for Bandit in, unfortunately, to help keep her cool. But I might try to do that tomorrow if I have time to run out and get something. I really appreciate your content. I especially enjoyed the Primal video. I know you mentioned considering doing a video on vampires in the comments. Do you think you might still do that? I mean, I always think I might still do that. I literally just keep a giant... Here, I'll try and show you guys. I literally just keep a giant list on my phone of video ideas. This is the list. This is the list of ideas. I've counted it before, I'll say it again. I have enough video ideas to make 2 years worth of videos without ever doing anything else. Not adding to that list, not covering news events, not reacting to anything, not doing Q&As or, I don't know, like reaction videos, anything like that. So many ideas. I think if I do a vampire video, it's probably going to be around Halloween. It's probably going to be around the fall. Unless something comes up sooner that like inspires me to do that, or like some Dracula movie comes out or something like that that makes me want to talk about it. I'm sure it'll happen. Not right now. Spoiler alert for videos I am working on. I am working on one about tickle torture, which we worked on last night on the Patreon live stream. There's like history to this. My mind, I'm not a ticklish person. I'm not ticklish. It's not like a thing that like happens for me. Like, I feel like I'm asexual for tickling. I don't know if there's a correlation. Other asexual people, are you ticklish? Is there something weird going on where like if you don't feel ticklish, you're more likely to be asexual? I don't know. But like I'm not really ticklish. And so I was fascinated. I learned there's like he was uses like historical torture, like there's two different types of tickling, like there's a lot of stuff. And I was like, "Oh my god, mind blown." My worry with doing videos like that is like it does kind of skirt the line on like fetish, which is fine. I'm not shaming anybody that has fetishes. I get it. I know it. I've dated lots of people with lots of fetishes. But when you start talking about fetish stuff, you get a lot of it's very like a mouse and a cookie problem. You get a lot of people that are like, "Oh, you talked about tickling. Can you talk about feet? Can you talk about latex? Can you talk about heels? Can you talk about I don't know, what are some other common um fucking I don't know, balloons, stockings, necrophilia. I don't fucking know. Like you know, anything that's a fetish. Like people are like, okay, make a video about this. The thing is that I'm a BDSM channel, not a fetish channel. Not everything that is fetish oriented is BDSM oriented, and most of the things about that like don't end up actually being acted out in a BDSM way or like have scenes or anything. So like making a video about it would be like a 3-minute long video giving a definition of what that fetish is. Like it wouldn't really there's not really that much content there. Like there's not really that much I can talk about. So usually I just recommend people read this book by Violet Blue that's called Fetish Sex. Really good look at a lot of different fetishes. Just read that. If you're ever gonna just future note anybody, if you ever have a question about a fetish that I haven't made a video on, read that book. That's probably going to be my answer for most of it. But tickle torture does overlap into BDSM in the same way that latex overlaps into BDSM, where it's like there's tickle torture, but it's not necessarily a sexual fetish, but it can be for some people. And it kind of goes into sensation play, but it's not quite that. And it's kind of pain play, but it's not quite that. And it's really interesting. Really, really, really interesting. So excited to make that video. I didn't realize exactly how deep it was going to be, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun one. So that's one of the videos I'm working on. And then I'm working on, I don't know, I just have a lot of ideas for things. I kind of want to do like a basic terminology video where it's like, here's the basic terms you need to know. Because I get a lot of people that do leave comments. Well, not a lot. I get like, every video I get one person leaves a comment like, what does TNG mean? What is DS? What is MS? What is OP? And they spell it wrong and I have to kind of figure out what they're trying to say. And I'm like, oh, right, I haven't actually. It's almost, the answers are almost always buried in other videos. But some people, like if you can't even spell it, you're not going to know how to Google it. So I feel like having a video where I like define the terms and kind of go over the like A to Z of the most common terminology, that could be helpful. That would be really dry and like maybe not very fun to watch, but at least would be like a resource for people to have reference for what I mean for certain things. And I feel like it would be a very utilitarian video. It would not necessarily be for audience enjoyment, let's say. Oh, I totally see what you're talking about, ABSP. I saw a thumbnail of Moist Critical's video, and I saw Pup Amp in it. I'm so scared. You and me both. You and me both, ABSP. You and me both. I saw that. I watched 20 seconds of it. I think he's literally just reacting to and watching the Sexplanations channel. I don't think it's about Pup Amp, but... I worry. I never think of channel with like 9 million subscribers. I don't know how big Moist Critical's channel is. It's fucking big though. Like, I forget that he just spends his days like watching Russian slap fighting videos and like reacting to like weird quasi porn on YouTube. Like, he could find my channel. He could find this video. But like, I don't think he would because like my videos are too boring. Like my videos don't have anything interesting in them. They're just like factual. Like I don't do anything crazy in my videos. But like I guess it wouldn't be that bad. Like at the end of the day, I'm like, well, it's good exposure. Like, maybe it would help some people that need the education would find my channel, because it does get suppressed by YouTube, so that would be good. And, like, usually he's not too mean-spirited. Like, in, like, a way that, like, Keemstar is mean-spirited. You know? Like, there's, like, taking the piss out of something that's kind of serious, and then there's, like, being fucking Keemstar. Anyways, fuck Keemstar. Next question. I'm super excited for the tickle video, since it's both sexual and non-sexual for me. Being the ticklee. Yes. Kaya, if you would like to leave a comment in the chat about your experience with tickling, I would love to know. It would help inform my video. I had trouble. Okay, this is the weirdest thing. So I try to Google different things when I'm looking up stuff for a video, and at first I searched for tickling in BDSM, and I found fucking nothing. I found not a thing. Then when I changed that to tickle torture kink, very similar language, almost the same, like 5 different videos I could watch, multiple tutorials about it. I was like, was just adding the word torture like the key? My mind was blown. I was like, how did, because I mean, I have obviously researched a lot for a lot of videos. I've never had such a small change in keyword like make that much of a difference in terms of search results. So very excited about it. Still doing research for it. I just, like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to film for most of next week, because, like, if I don't have a fan on or something on, like, I'm gonna, like, my camera's gonna overheat, I'm gonna overheat, my dog's gonna overheat, like, it just, not gonna be a good time. Not gonna be a good time for anyone. All right. Next question. Okay, so follow-up question from Kayla. How could I establish being able to tell the difference between being a real dominant and someone's false proclamation of being a dom? In that case, I'd recommend you watch my video on how to spot a fake dom. I do a video about that. Although that one is geared more towards online interactions. So, like, some of the things, let me think. How can you tell? See, I don't know that many people in real life that are in BDSM clubs that are, like, still, has, something just beeped. It made this sound like when my camera turns off, but my camera's still on. So my voice is still going, right? Okay. Weird. Mysterious beeping's happening. All right, great. We love that. Camera equipment is dying. So anyways, what I was talking about is my video on like spotting a fake dominant is more geared towards online stuff, because I think that's where it's the most common. In my experience in the BDSM community, oh great, now there's an ice cream truck going by. We're just having everything happen today. You guys can't hear it though. I hear it in the distance, taunting me with its non-vegan options. I spit at you, sir. Anyways, sorry, I don't mean to be salty about ice cream trucks. My experience in the real life community is that dominance, that, like, there are people that say and brag, I have 10 years of experience, I have 20 years of experience, look how big my dick is. Like, there are people that do that. They're not necessarily lying about being a dom at all. They are just dominants in an unethical way, which is 2 different things. There are people that pretend being a dominant to lure people in to get sexual favors or to get nudes or whatever else, or just to brag and pretend that they're, you know, something important that they're not. And then there's people that think they're doms and act like doms and functionally just are doms, but they do their dominance in a shitty way. I don't think that makes them not doms. I just think that makes them, like, a shit person. Like, if you have a spouse that abuses you, it doesn't make them not your spouse. It makes them an abusive spouse. Does that make sense? Like, the role they're playing is still there, but, like, the way they do it isn't necessarily good. Like, those are different things. So if you're thinking, Like, see, I don't know, because you kind of referenced earlier having a husband, so I don't know how much it really matters to you in a practical way if somebody's a real dominant or a fake one pretending to be one. Like, if you're not trying to find other doms, I don't know if it really fucking matters to you one way or the other way. But if you are trying to find, like, other doms, you're trying to evaluate, is this person actually, you know, who they say they are, watch them actually do it. Watch them have scenes. Go to their FetLife profile. What do they have pictures of? How is their profile filled out? What do they talk about online? What do they talk about in person? Like, that's how you figure it out. If you have somebody that says they have 5 years of BDSM experience, they have no FetLife account, they never play at parties, you don't really have any evidence they're actually a dom, do you? But if they go to play parties, they do scenes, they have a collared submissive, they have 10 years of pictures on FetLife that have all sorts of BDSM stuff in them going on, they have writings about the beauty of DS, like, they're probably actually a dom. If they have years of community service, if they volunteer in the community a lot, why the fuck would they lie about being a dom? They would be found out eventually. They'd be like, hey, you spend a lot of time designing sets and a lot of time playing. What's up? Are you just vanilla? Like, I just, I'm not that suspicious of people. You know, I can be a very, like, reluctant to trust person. Don't get me wrong. I just, like, I don't ever, like, go into a scenario and be like, you know what's productive for me right now? I need to, like, doubt that anyone tells me that they're a submissive or a dom or whatever, that they must be lying. Like, I don't know when it's ever actually done anything beneficial. No, the beep was external. It was coming from somewhere in my room. I don't think it was the donation alert. Now you're in a bathtub, Brainy. What are you doing? Hoarding groceries in a bathtub? It's the most, like, if you're smoking weed at the same time, it's gonna be the most Brainy thing I've ever heard of. Anyways. Yeah. If you can watch them play, oh, fucking talk to their partners. That's the way. If they have a submissive partner, like, talk to their partners, look at their FatLife account. What do they take photos of? What do they talk about? Do they play? Like, that's how you could figure it out. Keep in mind, though, keep in mind, please, everyone, just listen to me. Listen to me. This is where your kink is not my kink, but your kink is still okay, is, like, really important. The last thing I want anyone to do that watches my channel is to go to a fucking play party and then police everyone for not being dom enough, for not being sub enough. That's, like, the opposite of what I want. That is just smashing my keyboard. That is the opposite of what I want people to do. And just because somebody does their dominance or talks about their dominance or the submission or whatever in a different way from you doesn't mean they're not actually that thing. It doesn't mean they are not that thing because they do it differently from you or present it differently. So just to summarize our whole point here, the whole thing, this is how you do it. 1, you ask them, are you a dom? Flowchart, yes or no? Yes. Great, they answered your question. Step 2, talk to them about what being a dom means to them and what their experience in power exchanges and how they found it and why they like it and blah, blah, blah. Okay, part 2. Part 3, you watch them do the BDSM. You talk to their partners, you talk to their submissives. You see them at DS support discussion groups. You go to their FatLife account. You cyber stalk their FatLife account. You figure out their photos. You read their writings. You see what groups they're in. If it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck and it has feathers like a duck, it's probably a fucking duck, even if you think it might be a chicken. That's the answer. Like, that is the answer. The answer. And if you're going through all of that and you've watched them, you've talked to their partners, you talked to them, you've seen them play, you've seen all of that, blah, blah, blah. By the end of that, you're like, I don't know if they're still dom. Check your internal bias. If you get far enough down this, like, tech tree of figuring out if this person's a dom or not, and you're still like, I don't know. I don't think they're really a dom. Check your internal bias first and see if that reaction's valid or not. Is this based on your preconception and how you think dominant? Like, you have to be able to separate, like what you want in a dom for like any possibility for a dom, right? So you have to be able to internally check, is it that they're not meeting the things that I want in a dom, or is it they just say they're a dom but what they really are is a top, or they say they're a dom but they don't actually have any experience yet, or they say they're a dom but it's just because they're a liar on the internet. Like, figure out which way that ends up being. Because I would say a fair amount of the time when like people have some experience in BDSM, or like, I don't think that person's a dom, someone just biased because they think they know what dominance looks like, when in reality it looks very different for a lot of people. Anyways, I hope that helped. Yes, I give Brittany permission to bully people in this chat. Brittany can bully people in this chat if she wants to. I will literally. I'm gonna give Brittany. Oh, what? It's not living. Did I? What? I wanted to make you a mod so you could like effectively bully people, but it's not letting me use that option. Ridiculous. Y'all are ridiculous. Okay. Oh, how much time we have? We got 20 minutes? Okay. Sorry, that was a rant. That's a ramble. Yes, Demon Slayer is so good, Brittany. Please watch it. It's super good. I feel like if you watch it with your family, like they're probably going to be into it. If you watch like if you're into any other shonen anime, you'll probably like it. Also, please do not repeat the same question multiple times in the chat, because then I will skip over it because they'll be mad that you spam my chat. That's my solution to brats. That's me ignoring the brat right there. Yes, Beastars is so good. I'm super excited. I think July 15th is when it's coming out in the US. Is when the new season's going to be out. It's been out in Japan for like 6 months at this point, but it's finally going to come over our way. Super excited for it. I think it's going to be fun. I am excited for the many analyses videos about it from all the anime channels. It's going to be a fun time. I did get to your question, World of Dom. Dawn. I got to your question. I'll keep bitching answers to your questions, and then ask them again. Don't pay attention to what I'm telling you. It is a privilege. It is a privilege, not a right, to have me answer your question. Oh, jeez. Yes, thank you, Cameron. Those are the titles. Thank you. My wife is a total brat and wants to be dom, but to her rules. Yeah, it sounds like she wants to. She probably just wants a pro dom or a pro top, I guess, which is fine. I feel like that's like just being a dominant bottom. You can be both. There's no rules. Fuck it. Do both at once. But at the same time, if you mean by rules you mean boundaries, like yeah, you should probably have boundaries about what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. That's different. That's different. There's a difference between service topping and wanting somebody to be your service top, and like being a dominant bottom, you know? And if you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't. Not gonna get into that linguistic debate. It is a nuanced difference, but it is there. Yes, exactly, Ash. Dominance is a scale. It's certainly not one size fits all. If you don't know if they're Dom, ask. Talk to them about their experiences and preferences. Exactly, Ash. You got it. Fucking This is why I put my hair up. I'm going crazy. Okay. Just, if you could just, single hair, just stay behind my ear. I'm about to go full Zula on my hair over here. That's a scene idea. Anyways, moving on. Okay. I feel like I'm gonna have to retitle this live stream to like, how can you tell if someone's a dom? Which is fine. I should just do that. We're doing that. We're changing the title before I forget. Edit. How to... if someone is a real dom. There we go. That's suitably YouTube enough for a title. All right. Getting what are we doing? We're going back into it. Let's get some more questions. I asked because I felt as if they tried to portray off as a more powerful being in his relationship. Oh, okay. I'm picking up the vibe you're putting down here. All right. But to me, I didn't really believe that he was much of a dominant as he proclaimed to be, because he would treat his ex-fiance as like a dog or like property. Oh, okay. So I didn't want to assume the person was being a maniacal asshole. So I went with the other possibility. This is a whole other, this is an extra conversation. There is a particular reason why I have a problem with people that take certain worldviews into their kink. Like, if you believe like men are born superior to women, or women are born superior to men, or all males are superior to all females, just like literally male superiority or female superiority. If you bring those things into your fucking DS, miss me with that shit. That is not BDSM. That is you being a misogynist or a misandrist and using kink to justify it. Please stop. We don't want you here. That's my honest to God opinion. The reason that I'm just having this reaction is I can picture this exact guy, because I've seen this guy. I know this guy. There are people that posture being dominant and think... I have an old video about this, like being dominant versus being domineering or something. And there are people that think being a dom is being an asshole. So they treat the people around them, and especially their partners, like shit. They're like, you can be property, you can be a dog, you can be a pet, you can be a whatever, right? There is like being an animal abuser dog owner, and then there's being like somebody that actually like thinks of their dogs as like human beings, and like, or not human beings, sorry, think of their dogs as like living beings and not as like inanimate objects that they can like kick around, right? I don't know why people do this, but I totally know that guy that's like literally Big Dick Jimmy. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. Like, you know, the guy's like, I'm Big Dick Jimmy. Here's my harem. I've been doing this for 20 years. Look at me. I've got all my slaves. And then they just like treat the people in their lives like crap. And it's not, and they're... DS can look like a lot of different ways, right? There are definitely types of DS and ways of doing BDSM that I personally find squicky, that do kind of cross the territory into like really closely resembling like human trafficking and like actual abuse. But there is that air there where it's like you have gotten very confused about what it actually means to be a dom, and you've somehow interpreted this as like being permission to like just be awful to everyone. I don't know how they get this idea. I don't know who enables them to do this. It's shitty. No one should be acting like that. But people do. Because they're shitty. So there you go. Yeah, totally that. So as far as like, in that case, so the question isn't even really how can you figure out if they're really a dom or not. Like, at that point you have to figure out, are they an abusive asshole or not? Like, honestly. So again, I think talking to their partners is probably a good idea. Oh, if their partner is allowed to talk to other people, because they might not be in that scenario. That happens a lot. Figure out what their reputation is from other people in the community. Figure out if they go to other events. Just like Figure out what their connections are and what their general reputation is, and that will tell you a lot about that person. That will tell you a lot about that person. Because if he doesn't go to any other events and his partners aren't allowed to talk to any other people and they never go to discussion groups or support groups, and the DMs and the people on the dungeon don't really seem to like him that much, and nobody really seems to be their friend, and like the only people that are their friends are like other maniacal assholes, probably not really good people. Now this goes back to my point of like, you can be a shitty person and then like technically still call yourself a dom. I don't know if that point really made sense, but like, you can be a dom and abusive, but it doesn't make you not a dom because you're also abusive. Like, I don't know. Like, or maybe it does. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to explain this in like the way that I mean to explain it. But like, you can be a dom and just be a shitty dom, but that doesn't make you not a dom. Does that make sense? Like, I think if you're an abusive asshole and you use DS as a way to justify abuse, like, then you're just abusive. But like, if it's about like just being bad at doing DS or like not really like doing it well, like you can still be something and be bad at it. Like, you can go swimming and be bad at swimming. You can bake stuff and be bad at baking. It doesn't mean you didn't bake something. It just means you did it badly. Anyways, I know that point's probably a little confusing, but yeah, it's that guy. It's that guy. What are you gonna say? What are you gonna do? Thank you, Mini Malkavian. Love that name. Great name. Just want to say thank you so much for providing so much great information. I try my best, and I'm glad people appreciate it. Yes, exactly, Brittany. Anyone can identify as a Dom. Doesn't mean they're good people or practice BDSM like you do. I have a very specific requirement of what makes someone a Dom or sub, but that is me, Winky Emoji. Yes, exactly. We are on the same page there. Some of the best tips and life knowledge I've ever learned come from someone just going on a tangent and just rambling. I mean, when you get the thoughts going, if you get that thought gravy train going, you're good. You're solid. And it's funny, I find this much easier to do in a live stream format than when I'm just like filming by myself in front of a camera. I usually end up there are some videos I do where I do like ramble and kind of go off, but when it is more factual, I do pre-plan what I'm going to say and like in what order, and that makes it a little bit less rambly, a little bit less free-flowing, and I think that's good. Because you don't want to miss something important or not add a caveat that needs to be added. But I find rambling comes much more naturally over live streams. I have to rein it in during videos so they're not all 45 minutes long. See, this is like confusing though. So like he didn't care who was around. He would tell her things such as "come and sit at my feet" or basic commands. We'd be given a dog or an animal, which he's not. Okay, well, time out. Okay, is this like in public around vanilla people, or is this like a dungeon? Cause like giving orders or like giving hand signs is like a totally valid way of having a DS relationship. If it's like short and clipped and kind of like military-esque, that's totally a way of having a DS relationship. This is the thing. You gotta separate. I'm gonna vogue to work through this. You have to separate the way that you do BDSM from being the only way to do BDSM and thinking everybody else who does something different is doing it and they're being an asshole and being a bad person. I am visualizing when you said I'm getting whiplash from the degrees of ideas I'm getting from this story. You can be a dom and act in a cold, distant way and give clear, clipped like orders that sound kind of aggressive and sound kind of mean, and that could be what both people in the relationship want. That can be fine. Some people like being treated like property. Some people like being treated like pets. And for them, that resonates for them and they really like it. And that's how they want their DS relationship. There were lots of examples on this back in the Tumblr days. You could look up stuff like this super easy. Totally a thing to do. Just giving somebody commands doesn't make somebody abusive. If this is in public, if this is in like a fucking grocery store, at a Starbucks, yeah, that's not good. Don't do that. If you like, if this is in a dungeon where this kind of behavior is like part of it, like you can be in a dungeon, you can be socializing around the couch or whatever, and you can give your submissive an order to like come sit by your feet. That's totally fine. If you're doing it at a Starbucks, at a car wash, probably don't do that. Actually, not even probably, just don't do that. There's, are there kinky grocery stores? I don't think so. You could do it at Wicked Grounds. That's the only coffee shop I know you could probably do that at. But like you gotta separate like what squeaks you out about other people's relationships from like being abusive and bad. Because if you're allowed to be squicked out, you're allowed to not like it. You don't have to like their DS. That's fine. You're not in that relationship. You didn't get to police how they express their DS. As long as it's consensual and not breaking the rules of whatever it is that they're at. That's different. But like some people like that kind of DS. Some people like getting orders and commands. Some people like doing hand signals. Some people like being treated certain ways that you wouldn't like to be treated. They can do that. Perfectly valid. Just to clarify. Because there's people that might be lying about being a dom at all. There's people that use doms to, you know, put a label on them, like fucking House of Cataphor, you know, type people that just use BDSM as a veil for their premeditated abuse. And then there's people that just have a style of DS that aren't compatible with you. And you gotta be able to separate those things. So you gotta be able to respect the way that other people do their BDSM. I know lots of people that do DS relationships. There's one person I can think of in particular that I see a lot at conventions where they talk about their DS relationship, and I'm like, I don't know if that's okay though. I don't know if that's like okay. But like their partner's there, their partner seems to be into it. Their partner doesn't look like a beaten animal, right? And it's like, well, they're both adults and it seems consensual. So I don't really have a say in how it looks to me, if I like it or not. Anyways, sorry, I went on a. There's a lot of elements going on here. This is very refining out bits and pieces because there's so many different ways. This I don't know these people, right? I don't know these people. I don't know this venue. I don't know where this happened. I don't know what went down. Anything could potentially be the answer, right? So it's very hard to, you know, and you really shouldn't just prejudge people. But for the sake of education and for future deciphering of if you run into something similar. Oh, thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I will definitely be able to buy an additional fan for the long, hot weekend about to happen to me. My love language is buying someone food. Yeah. I know a lot of people that are like that. A lot of people, a lot of like families are like that as well, where they're like having a lot of food around the house and feeding people is like how they show affection for sure. Totally. Oh my gosh, we're literally on the part we're talking about love languages. We're like an hour behind in the chat. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You officially got collared today. Oh my gosh, congratulations, Morgan. So exciting. It says collared like collard greens, but that's fine. It's still amazing. Oh my gosh, so happy for you, Morgan. That's great. What? How are young people, like 18 or 19-year-olds, treated when entering the BDSM community? I mean, the real answer is it depends on where you live, because every scene has different people in it. I know some people in some communities in the US where it's like, it's just run by all the 40 and 50-year-olds, and they think all the, you know, the 18-year-olds and 20-somethings are just stupid and don't know what they're doing. My experience has always been very, very positive. I got into the BDSM scene when I was 20. So not when I was 18 or 19, wasn't quite that young, but I was like, I was this, right? I've never really looked older than my age. I was still very young. I was still like either the youngest or one of the youngest people that was going to a lot of events, and honestly, I still am. but I remember the best short answer I can give you is two examples. So, um, I had been going to a munch that I think it happened on Thursdays. I want to say it was Thursday nights, and I was at a bar, and um, I think. Well, let me remember the story exactly. Um, I feel like I have a detail wrong here, but I can't. No, something for my 22nd birthday, not my 21st birthday. So, there was a bar that had a munch out at every Thursday. It was like the local gay bar. It was super great, and they had just like a dance floor there, and we would meet there and we would hang out, and it was just it was a munch, right? It was a munch at a bar. It was a really fun time, and it was mostly older people, right? It's people late 30s, 40s, 50s. Working adults that came to the bar after work to socialize with their kinky friends. And I was one of the youngest people that would go there. It was me and like two other college students that would go. Oh, thank you so much, Thomas Brown. So sweet. And I remember, like, I would always be able to get in the conversations with them. They didn't act like weird or separate, even though they obviously knew I was younger than they were. And I remember for my, yeah, they never treated me any different. But for my 22nd birthday, I remember they bought me like a rainbow jello shot. Like, I don't know if it was a jello shot. It was like a layered shot of some kind that had like rainbow colors. I remember everyone they bought me one when it was my birthday. They all wished me happy birthday. Like, I wasn't going there to celebrate my birthday, but like somebody had found out that it was my birthday. Like, I wasn't going there to celebrate, but like I mentioned it to somebody that told somebody that told somebody, and then like suddenly it had sparklers and a jello shot. And then I remember going to like somebody's car, and like I somebody at the group like ran an online like BDSM shop where they sold like crops and floggers and stuff that was mostly kind of like for local smaller events. And I remember they just like gave me a crop for free because it was my birthday. Like, it was like I was really drunk when this happened, so I don't remember everything like super clearly. But like that's one of my favorite memories of like being in the community and just being like, wow, like I barely knew these people. I knew them for a couple weeks. It was my birthday. They were like old enough to be my parents, and they were like hanging out with me, having a great time, like wishing me a happy birthday. Like, it was great. And whenever I've gone to conventions, and I've gone to conventions for like 4 years now or something. Whenever I've gone to conventions, I'm usually one of the youngest people there. And if I'm not the youngest person there, it's like me and two other people that are like in their early mid 20s. And every single time I've gone to a convention, there have been people that have like talked to me and just treated me like I'm any other person in the kink community. They don't like look down at me or belittle me. I have people make weird assumptions about my relationships. Like, I have a lot of people assume, or at least used to assume with my former partner, that I was like a little and we had like a DDOG relationship, and we absolutely did not. But other than that, like, everyone was always really nice and kind, and I would get into the conversations with these 50 and 60 year olds about like BDSM history and just like regular conversation. And I remember always being struck by how amazing that was, even though we were so like different in terms of age and life experience and everything else, but I was never really treated as being that different. I'm not saying that every community is perfect and there's no assholes, and you know everybody always gets along and nobody has opinions about no one's ageist. Like, I'm not saying no one's ageist, because obviously there are people who are, but my experience has always been positive, and I think as long as you're respectful, like, they're going to be respectful back. So just remember the rules of the space and be respectful, and you'll probably be fine. Now, in terms of finding partners, that might be a little bit of a different story. Because then you have to be careful about the people that like literally just want to seem with an 18-year-old because they have some kind of teenager fetish. Frankly, you would want to be aware of that. But pretty rare that you would actually run into somebody like that would be quite that directly thirsty, shall we say. What are your thoughts on the usefulness of ASMR porn as a solo BDSM supplement, i.e., quarantine signal, etc.? I think it's totally valid. I'm kind of confused by the proliferation of ASMR on YouTube, and especially on like kinky YouTube. I don't really get it, but it helps people. Like, phone sex is valid. BDSM ASMR on YouTube is basically just phone sex with more steps and more editing. So, yeah, if you like that, go for it. Okay. I am. Ooh, Amazon has an oscillating floor fan in the mid 40s. I will check that out, Michael. Thank you so much. Okay. Where to meet and get to know like minded people. Check my FAQ. That is the answer. Okay, I'm going to try to answer one more question and then we're going to be wrapped up for today, guys. This is awesome. Such a good conversation, I think. Lots of things. Do you have a weekly newsletter or like email that you send out to your viewers, followers, or like specific topics that you discuss via email? No, I don't have an email list. It's very 90s. I love the idea of it, but I don't have an email list. If you want to know what I'm doing, having the notification bell turned on. So if you're subscribed to my channel, which if you're not, you should be. If you subscribe to my channel, there should be a bell icon. If you click on that and turn it on and go to all, that'll notify you when I live stream and when I post videos. But like honestly, I don't always know what I'm going to talk about until I film it. I don't know exactly when videos come out sometimes because some videos, like the Manson videos, take a long time to edit and double check and fact check. Other ones are a lot more simple, so it does kind of vary. Sometimes I decide I want to have the videos I filmed this week come out in 3 weeks before this other stuff that I filmed, and like other times I film something 1 week and I push it forward. So I don't always know what I'm doing all the time. Basically, so I don't have a newsletter or anything, but like Patreon and then YouTube, subscribe, notification bell, like that's the way to keep up with what I'm working on. Is it valid for vanilla people to be offended by public acts of BDSM, or are they tripping? Well, I think we need to define what act is. But if somebody is having their human pet pee on a bush in public, yeah, they're allowed to be offended by that. That's fine. If it's somebody just wearing a leather vest and that's all they're doing, and it's a pride event, it's probably not something that they should just be offended by the mere presence of. So, mostly, yes. Also, here's the thing though. Here's the thing. Oh my gosh, so important. This is I'm only trying to figure out how to phrase this so it comes across like to the general public in the way that I want it to come across. Like, you can feel any feeling you want to have, right? Like you can see BDSM in public and it can make you really angry. You can see BDSM in public and it can make you really happy because you're like, yes, get it, love it, girl. You know, whatever feeling you want to have about a thing. But that doesn't necessarily make that action like justified by like the facts of the event or like the impact of what's actually happening. So, on that note, I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. So much. This is great. We answered a lot of really good questions today. This was awesome. I know I didn't get to stream last time, so I'm really glad we could catch up this week. If it is hot where you live, please stay safe. Get ice, get water. You know, honestly, prepare for the power grid to go out, especially if you live in a place that does have AC, because like this power grid is going to get hit hard. Going to get hit hard. So make sure you're prepared. Make sure your pets are prepared. Keep your pets safe, especially if you have rabbits, any kind of little creatures that are very sensitive to the heat. Keep them safe. If you have dogs, you take them outside. For the love of God, do not put them on a fucking sidewalk in 115-degree weather. This has been your PSA. Keep yourself safe. Keep your pets safe. Pets safe. Stay hydrated. And I will talk to you all again very soon. Bye. Yes, same time next week, as always. 6 o'clock. All right. Really, really bye now. Bye.